Welcome back to the Loveland Report Lone Ranger Show. We've been digging into the market this week and what's going on in real estate and mortgages right now.
We need to dig out of the market.
Yeah, exactly. I've got some listings for sale here. You want some land? You want to be a farmer? You want to have your own compound? I've got 13 acres on the edge of Mount Dora, still an Orange County address for $700,000. I've got 10 acres in Apopka by all that growth off the 429, and that is at $599,000. I've got.
Is that one parcel? Is it can be subdivided?
Nope,
or
can't. None of those can be. Actually, the 13-acre one probably could be subdivided. You got to check with the county. It's approved in that area. The big one for 10 acres, no, it would have to be one house.
So you'd get a 10-acre parcel. So anybody that wants to have some spread and you're not that
which
far,
is hard to find.
And that you said that's in Apopka?
Yep, that's
so,
very hard to
right
find that
Orlando.
inside the. Yeah, it's very hard to find acreage inside the Beltway anymore that you can build your own home on. I've got a golf villa in Hawks Nest. This is 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths for $540,000, 2,500 square feet, wood floors throughout the first floor with a pool. They take care of the yard in there for you. I've got for $510,000. I've got a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2,000 square foot home. Beautiful yard, almost a third of an acre, and the owner bought extra land behind it that was available to him, and just a great property on a cul-de-sac. So you've got very little traffic drive through, $100,000 renovation on the inside. I've got a commercial project right off of 441 in Claremont, Ocoee for $500,000, and it is a commercial building about 2,500 square feet on half an acre, all gated compound.
Really?
So you want to run your air conditioning company, your electrical company, plenty of room there.
Great opportunity.
And we go to Claremont in the Palisades for $434,000. This is, and one thing about the Palisades, half-acre lots, and this one backs up to a conservation area, or was the golf course. But this is $434,000, 2,000 square feet, big open floor plan, nice master bedroom with a master bath, tub and shower, and no work needed on that. And give me a call. Give me a call if you want to take a look at any of these. 407-352-8118. Oh, also a little starter home in Claremont for $347,000.
That's a good
3 bedrooms,
price for
2 baths, 1,400 square feet. This is newer. There's a lot of subdivisions up and down in St. Cloud. Not a nice subdivisions for starter homes. This one is a newer house on a on a bend. So you've got a big backyard, one of the largest lots in the neighborhood. And that's at $347,000. So call me if you want to take a look at any of these. 407-352-8118. Be happy to help you with that.
Yeah, and we'll get your application started so you can make an offer on them. You know, when I'm taking applications and when I'm structuring loans for clients, Cleve, I want to position that client so that when they're out making offers, they win the offer.
Yeah.
Because it's frustrating. And I don't think a lot of folks realize it until they've gone through 2 or 3 properties that they've lost on. And I see this all the time. I highly encourage you to get fully approved for your financing. Don't dilly-dally around with sending me your documents. Get me everything, because when the client's fully approved with me, fast track approved, meaning that I've already underwritten the loan, I guarantee the seller a guaranteed close time, or I pay the seller up to $500 a day for every day we miss the closing. Now, do you think that's going to encourage that seller to take that offer?
It should, if the realtor knows what they're doing. So well, that's our part to explain that to them. We represent the buyer. I want to make sure the seller knows that and the seller's agent knows that.
Fortunately, I think most agents, at least the agents that do any volume of business, know who I am. And it's not uncommon for an agent to say, I chose your buyer because Bruce is the one working on the loan.
Well, you also call. I think you know how many calls I get from other lenders, Bruce, saying, hey, you got an offer from my buyer, and I've got all this buyer's documentation, and they are ready to go. They could close in 3 weeks. You know how many calls I get like that?
Not
Zero.
Many.
You do that for our buyers when you call other homes, and they get the house. So this is part of knowing how to negotiate, knowing how to do a real estate transaction. But the trouble is we've got so many, I just call it short, bless their little heart real estate out there. Just don't know what they don't know when they haven't done any transactions.
Nope. And I think that a lot of folks just aren't good pickers when it comes to their real estate agents. They pick people that are nice.
Common DNA is not a good qualifier.
Yeah. Just because you have a nice real estate agent doesn't mean they're a good negotiator. I see this all the time. I had a client that literally lost a deal because and I know it was the agent. And I'm like, oh my God, you picked the agent. I didn't pick the agent and you keep losing. That's a problem, and that costs you money. You don't want to have to screw around with that. If you find a house you want to make sure that you get the house you want, provided that it's priced right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. That's what's
So,
important.
I'm finding that, first of all, for all you first time home buyers, it looks like Hometown Heroes is going to come back in June or July.
Great.
All right. So that's going to be a great opportunity for those that want to get into the market, need some down payment assistance. Um, I'm finding that FHA pricing for loans is much better than conventional pricing right now. So even if you can qualify for a conventional loan, have me run FHA. I'll do it for you anyway, because even though there may be mortgage insurance in it, you can get a better interest
But
rate.
if I put down, let's say I was thinking about a conventional loan with 20% down. If I put 20% down on my FHA, is the mortgage insurance lower at least?
It's lower, but it's not much lower. And if you put 10% down on an FHA loan, the mortgage insurance can go away, but only when you put 10% down.
Okay.
I'm not generally advising the high down payment borrower to go FHA
Mhm.
unless I can look at it and go, hey, look at, and I do this all the time. Look at you, you're trying to put 20% down and go conventional, but you'd be better off if we paid this car off, paid those credit cards off, and put less money down on the mortgage.
Yeah.
You would have more cash flow on a monthly basis
Yep.
and have better terms.
Yep.
But a lot of people just think, oh, I have this much money to put down, and that's what I should do.
Yep.
Understanding how money works and how to leverage money, I don't think a lot of Americans really understand that very well. I focus on that with my clients. If you want somebody that's going to be truly analyze your situation and be an advisor, then call me. I'm right here, and I meet with every client. Personal, Zoom, phone appointments. I'm on top of my clients. I've got this. My team is dialed in to get your documents, but I'm there to help you structure. If you want to
I'm
work
gonna
with
pick the
me,
right one.
then call me now at 407-250-9144. Again, that's 407-250-9144, or WeBringYouHome.com. Quick and easy questionnaire application. Get it filled out. It's super easy, super fast, and I'll start with a soft credit pull.
Bruce, I do a lot of work with estate attorneys, and people. What's funny is I'll get homes referred to me, and someone unfortunately has passed, mom or dad or an uncle or something, and the family's got the home. And I had a situation last week. It was interesting. There's always one. Let's say you want to see a fight,
Yeah, die.
leave one house to three kids, and there's always one kid that thinks it's worth $1.3 million because he watches too much HGTV when it should be priced at $1 million. I had exactly that situation this week with a gentleman very upset saying we're pricing this house at $1 million. It needs some work. The neighborhood is definitely a 1.5 million neighborhood, but this house needs a bunch of work. And I'll have it as one of my listings coming up next couple months. But we're going to price it like at $1.1 million.
Yep.
They're doing a little bit of work to it, getting it emptied out. We're getting it staged. And this gentleman's adamant about we're giving away the farm at 1.2. And I said, well, I need to know where, I said, let me check all the sales for 1.2 and see what they look like.
And
I got the photographic evidence of gorgeous homes with 800 more square feet than the subject property I'm talking about, with the just finished the $200,000 renovation on
how
it.
did that sit with your seller?
He said he had to think about it still. So he wouldn't, the facts will hopefully will seep through his brain. But I mean, that's three.
Well, you deal with that all the time. People have a number in mind,
Mhm.
but it's not what the market bears. So you might as well, I don't even know if it's worth putting your house on the market then for that.
Yeah. So but what you want to do on something like that, especially with a house that nobody's going to use, like none of the family's going to take the house, and they're splitting up. Let's say they're splitting up. There's a small mortgage, and they're going to split $800,000, $700,000 three ways. You raise it $1 million, you're getting an extra 20 grand. But if it's on the
Sure.
market for an extra 2, 3, 4 months, and there's a mortgage payment, you've lost 15.
That's
You
right.
know, all these things come into play. So,
Carrying costs.
and it just what, it's usually what I see is usually that one relative or sibling in denial about where things should be. And I'm like, well, here, I said, I'm on your side. I want to get as much as possible. But if this is true and we list the house for $1,099,000 and you think it's worth $1.2 million, I should have multiple offers the first week, which doesn't happen. So anyway, you have questions about your house, 407-352-8118, or you got a family situation going on where mom or dad have passed, or it's time for them to go into assisted living, call me. I'll help you determine, is it right to sell mom's home, rent mom's home.
Yep.
All those things I can lay out for you and see what numbers work best for
Well, it's
you.
interesting because these are also things that when I meet with a client, I want to discuss with them whether they should sell their existing home or keep it. A lot of folks are like, well, I just don't want a payment that high. So I think I need to sell my house to get the payment down. But what you're not looking at is how much money are you leaving on the table by possibly keeping it? And you know what? Most real estate agents and lenders would prefer that you have a client that is debating whether to sell, to buy a new one, or to keep it. They're going to tell that seller, sell it. And the reason for it is they want to pick up that extra listing, right?
Yep.
But you look at that and go, look at, you've created a great deal of wealth with owning real estate
Yep.
and managing real estate. It's worked famously for you. It's worked well for me. And we want to help our clients grow financially. So I think that understanding that maybe keeping that house and putting a little less down, even though your payment may be a little higher on the new house, may be more beneficial. What tax advantages do you have for that? How much is that house growing in equity per year? These are the things that Cleve and I do every day to help you navigate this market. And if you are a loan officer out there and you work for a company and you're struggling, I have a lot of business and I'm looking for talented people to help me. Licensed loan officer, minimum 2 years experience in the industry. Give me a call. If you need a mortgage, purchase, refinance, home equity line of credit, construction perm, renovation loan, reverse mortgage, you call the loan arranger. I've got everything you need. I originate, I process, I underwrite, I close, and I service 90% of my loans.
How are your builders doing right now? What do they got going on?
You know, it'll be interesting to see how they're doing this week because, you know, last week and earlier this week, we've had some major changes. So I don't know if the dust is settled yet, but we had several contracts come in over the weekend from Trinity.
Mhm.
So I know Trinity is working well. I met with 2 clients this week with small builders, one from Ted Riley and one from Eric Robinson from Pine Creek. Had a great meeting with him, and he's building homes out in Wedgefield that are running around $900,000.
Yep.
So, and like you've got that 10-acre parcel, but where else can you get an acre to 5 acres and 10 acres near Orlando? It doesn't exist.
Wedgefield's outside the loop. I mean,
It is.
Wedgefield's the
The
edge of Orlando.
problem with Wedgefield that a lot of people struggle with is some of the properties aren't really buildable, or they need so much fill dirt, or they're on wetlands. And if you better do your due diligence to determine whether that's the right property.
High school, that's where we took our cars to drag race.
Absolutely. That was Rocket City. Rocket City. That was what it was called. But listen, Cleve and I are here to make sure that you navigate this process. Cleve is an expert at real estate. He's got amazing buyer's agents to help you navigate this industry and find the right property. And then he and I have teamed up together because we felt like we could offer you more when everything is all in-house with us. So you get your real estate needs met with Cleve and his team. You get your mortgage needs met with Bruce Woodburn, the loan arranger, and my team. I can promise you, you won't find somebody that'll take better care of you, knows more about what's happening in the market, and absolutely 100% has your best interest ahead of everything else. Bruce Woodburn, the loan arranger, CrossCountry, 407-250-9144. That's 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com. Cleve can be reached at 407-352-8118 or cleveloveland.com, the voice of real estate here in Orlando. I think one of the all-time best real estate agents. Great guy. He's a funny guy and he's a pretty good looking guy. So you should have him in your house. Maybe have some cookies or something for him, like Santa Claus when he comes out to your house to list your house.
All right, we get back, Bruce. I want to talk about how time is money and what that means to buyers, sellers,
carrying costs,
and carrying costs, but what that means to buyers and or sellers and property managers, landlords.
Yep.
So we'll be right back after this.
Yep. 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com for the loan arranger. Cleve Loveland again at 407-352-8118. 888-8118 or cleveloveland.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 5 minutes.